And so what was awesome about Josh and Deanna is they were crystal clear from the beginning on exactly what they were looking for. They wanted to do hospitality, some sort of boutique hotel. And I remember during Rookie Redeveloper, you were looking at a building in downtown St. Louis. Then you put under contract one in Colorado, right?
Yep.
And during due diligence, that one fell apart because of stuff that you guys learned. And then shortly on the heels of that one, this opportunity popped up, which is in Palm Springs, California. And we got on the phone and talked through the underwriting of it.
And we've been wanting to do hotels for a long time. It took us a very long time to get one. And that has been our project for the last year. And we finally opened in June. So just to share a little bit about who we are. So my husband is not here, sadly. He still has a W-2, hopefully not for long. But we are both architects and construction managers. Like has been our background for 15 plus years. He has a background in finance as well. We obviously are real estate investors. That's how we got started with residential real estate. It was on the market. This was on LoopNet. The reason why I think like we were able to acquire it for a really good price and it was just sitting there was I think it was the perfect scale for us to get started. It was a actually 11-room hotel. We turned it into 13-room by converting the general manager's unit into 2 rooms. But it was small enough that big developers would have seen it as too small of a project to take over. But it was a big enough construction that it would scare most new developers or new investors. But the biggest opportunity for us was how to convert this into something very unique. Even though like we weren't able with other hotels that we had been looking at, we were looking at adding more units or adding new construction to it. This one, the play was a little bit different of maximizing the rooms that we already had. And then we wanted to build a small amenity bar or a spa. We knew we wanted to add a little bit to the hotel. And that for this one, we did intentionally look for how would be the labor market. And we learned that it was a great market, like everything's hospitality here. So 1 out of 4 employment jobs are in the hospitality industry. So there's a very large pool, making it a lot more affordable, making it a lot easier to control your team, and also hire good people for your team.
Yeah, no, what I love about that stood out to me is like putting those properties under contract and then them not going through. And I remember like you were at the last minute, like y'all terminated the last day of due diligence and how
Heartbreak.
heartbreaking and emotionally invested you were. But that's where you learned like such a huge lesson that helped you with the next one. And so sometimes it's like just going through the process, you learn so much. Like closing is an end result, but there's so much to learn before you even get to that it's worth just going through deals.
So getting into the details of a little bit more like the numbers themselves. So like I mentioned, we bought it for 2.75. Our capital raise was 2.67, and this we kind of divided it a little bit into debt and equity structures. This was partially because with the big renovation that we had, we didn't want to, a lot of the investors that we had, some of them didn't want to do an equity position where they had to keep their money in the deal for between 5 to 7 years. Some of them, because of other real estate deals that we've done with them, were like they're used to a quicker turnaround with either flips or bursts. They wanted to get their capital back a lot sooner. So for those investors, we did a debt structure where we have them on a 2-year note, interest payments only, and we'll return their capital back at refinance in 2 years.
So about how many investors do you have?
Believe the total is like 32.
And that's with both equity and debt.
Both equity and debt. Yeah. For the equity position, this was what we established with them. So it was a waterfall model where we did a 7% preferred return to those investors. The equity split was 80-20. The estimated hold period is for 7 years and the minimum investment was for 100K. So this is how we got started. We were giving investors an 8% preferred return if they invested over 200,000. And then the 80-20 equity split, we also noted that it goes away. It turns into a 60-40 once the capital is 100% returned.
So I have a question about, you did Reg B, which that means you can't publicly advertise it, but it also means that you can let non-accredited investors in. So solely being your partner and yourself, y'all have a big social media following. Why did you choose B over C?
One is cheaper to, like in terms of like the cost, it's a lot cheaper to establish a B over C. It's a lot more expensive once you get into accreditation and doing all the SEC regulations. The other reason is because we knew, like, I mean, this was definitely the largest investment that, like, capital raise that both of us had ever done at one time. Especially the closing period was 60 days. So we had 30 days of due diligence and 30 days to close. So it was an incredibly fast paced, like every single day we were raising money and with people on calls. We knew that we were like, we would be close to at least getting the majority of it with B. And we also learned through the process is you can always switch from a B to a C. So you can close the capital raise and start a new one as a C if you end up getting to the position where like, I have no one else to reach out to and I can't raise any more capital. I would say like the biggest challenge that we faced was the competition and how do we position ourselves so that we don't become like one more hotel in Palm Springs. There's 124 hotels just in Palm Springs, not in the whole Coachella, just in Palm Springs. That is ridiculous for those who have been in Palm Springs. It's incredibly small. Everything here is a hotel. And 103 are independently owned. People in Palm Springs they don't want to go to the chain hotels. Like people in Palm Springs want the boutique experience. There's 70 boutique hotels in Palm Springs out of those 103. So like the competition is crazy. There's everything from like the most affordable to like the most luxurious. People are willing to pay anything from $100 a night to $1,500 a night. There's a giant range. So how to position ourselves within that was one of the biggest challenges that kind of guided a lot of the decisions that we made. So this is what we bought. It looked really pretty. It's just a white canvas. Like for us, it was perfect. Like literally there's no plumbing, no tile, nothing. It was so initially this was also our plan. We were trying to be very strategic with like where we touch things, move things. Our big idea was because we still want to have a general manager's room. That's another thing we learned was having a general manager on site, like doing the Airbnb model that we initially thought we were going to do. We learned that there is a huge price difference in boutique hotels on whether you do that model or if you have a general manager. The price is double or triple just by having a general manager on site. Like the quality of the experience is better, the expectations of the guests are better, you're able to charge a lot more. So from the beginning, we knew we wanted a general manager. And because of the heat of Palm Springs, like we took away their room. Now we needed to create a space for them or an office that they could be away from the heat. So there was always some sort of addition that we played with. What that was changed 100 times, but initially we had an outdoor bar, then it moved indoors. We wanted to do amenities like a sauna, a cold plunge, seating areas, a massage room. And then initially you can see like we were leaving a lot of the concrete in place, trying not like to reduce our cost and speed up our process of construction as well.
Hey, Deanna, if
Yeah.
as you all were like approaching all of those different design options on the kind of social spaces, were you all like running numbers on, okay, if this was the thing, this is like what those numbers look like in terms of revenue, or was it more of like a design thinking process, like in general, that's not enough social space, and like how did y'all find like process through those options?
It was a little bit of a balance, but I should have prefaced all of this that because this is our first hotel and we also didn't have any experience with F&B or wellness, the way that we underwrote our numbers was only accounting for room revenue because that one is something that we could control. So our underwriting and the way that we raised the capital from investors only accounted for the room revenue. The bar was extra, the spa was extra, resort fees were extra that we didn't account for. yeah, everything else was extra that never made it into our underwriting because it was too risky for us to start guessing on numbers without really knowing what the return on that would be, or like even initially we didn't even know how to analyze it and what the proper numbers for that would be. So we just netted everything at zero, like no expenses, no income, like let's just pretend we're not doing anything. But this is like the part that I really wanted to share. I think like the schedule to us has been the biggest lesson. So we closed on June 6th. We started demo 2 weeks later. We separated, like I mentioned, the permitting process into different packages so that we would speed up the process and we didn't have to wait for the permit, especially of this edition. This was going to be a much longer permitting process than just renovation. So we broke it down into 3 packages. We told the contractor he had to be done by November 1st. And again, with the initial scope of work, that was very doable. It's 13 rooms. It's not a lot. We were not going to demo all this concrete and have all the issues that we had. And the goal was to have, we told investors January 1st, the goal was to have 2 months of soft openings and small events. We invited people over. I had my family for Thanksgiving. I was going to be the guinea pig and test the first buyout and test the catering company we were going to be working with. So that was our plan. And that was what we had been working towards the entire time. The permitting process for the addition was supposed to be 2 months. It took 4. So we didn't start pouring. I think I had a photo. We poured concrete on almost by like September 28th. It was like at the end of September. And we had to be done by supposedly November 1st. This photo was taken in October 9th. So technically my family was coming in like a month and a half. And this is how the hotel looked. And then this is the final output of what the hotel looks like. Plan is to refinance up to 24 months. So refinancing at the end of year 2, and then we have a sale at the end of year 7. With a 9% cap rate. Again, the market is 8.5. So we're assuming 9 cap rate. That would give us a valuation of $7.6 million. And then at sale, at a cap rate of 9 again, we would be looking at 7.6 million. And which would leave us with gross proceeds of around $4.5 million. Sources of revenue that we didn't consider, massages, cabana rentals, which we're actually not doing, food and beverage. Every room has a mini bar as well with a ton of snacks. We didn't consider that revenue. Resort fees, which are in Palm Springs, you get to charge a resort fee to your stay, and it's a nightly rate. It's per night, so you add an additional between $25 to $55 per night of your stay by being able to provide like Wi-Fi, free parking, breakfast. Like we just group a bunch of things, and for that you get to charge an additional rate. So right now we charge $42 per night in addition to your room rate that we didn't consider here. That's an additional like almost $100,000 per year that is not considered in this underwriting. And obviously hotel, events and buyouts. This is just looking at year 1, because right now that's what we're really focused on. Year 1, the ADR, we were estimating 312. We're currently, as of March, we are at $398 for our ADR. Our target for year 1 is to hit 450. So that's kind of like the metric that we're after for the entire year. Occupancy rate, we underwrote it at 70%. We're currently at 61. Our actual target, we've reduced it to 60% from our underwriting because we increased our pricing. So we expect a lower occupancy, but we're going to make more money with lower occupancy. So we're actually right in line with what our target for the year is. This is obviously also like we're in the high season. So this is low for us for the average of the year. So we still expect, like we're still in that ramping period we're expected to end maybe hopefully by June or July, we can say we're at 100%, but right now we're still right in the middle of that process. RevPAR, which is a metric for the revenue available per available room. We are still higher, obviously, because our ADR is higher. It's just a math equation. Currently, we're at $239. For spa services, F&B and buyouts, we didn't calculate anything as of March. We have for spa services, we've brought in 77 per month. These are per month metrics. So in March, we brought in $7,700, F&B 66. Buyouts, we've had 2 already this year, and we have 5 scheduled already we have 3 in June, and then 2 weddings in the fall. Our estimate that we want to at least hit is 5 a year, so we're already above that. And for our averages, again, these is average per year, so these numbers make sense that they're higher. We expect them to come lower in the summer as we hit the low season. And then the expense ratio for year 1, in the pro forma, you guys saw 85% for year 1. We're still trying to refine that. We're having a lot of expenses, obviously, trying to understand what is the right quantity of teammates, right hours to have the bar open. So all of that, we're still like this metric, it's a little unclear right now, but our target for year 1, because we expected to have some wasted overhead, is 81%.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Wyman has a great question. He
What?
says, what's next?
We definitely want another one and bigger than Terra. Like ideally, it's something more in the 20 to 30 units. Like I still want to stay boutique because I think the experience you can create in the boutique world is really what I'm passionate about. Like I'm not interested in like large hotels, big numbers, like 50 plus, like does not interest me. So definitely want to have another one. We're looking for similar markets to Palm Springs, where easy to drive, like good markets in case of a recession. Like Palm Springs is a great one. We would do another one in Palm Springs as well if we found the right deal. Hotels where we can again do a lot of the value add that we bring to the table by being architects and just doing something, adding a lot of value where maybe others don't see the value.